what up? It's your boy, Sir Josh. Please kick it right here in the streets of JHP North Side. And we're back again with another episode of PMP Squared, People and Purpose, Purpose and Passion. And in today's episode, we're meeting an interesting individual and amazing business guru by the name of Kopano, founder and managing director of KPRM Media Solutions and Sorted Virtual Assistants. But she's not just that, she is a digital marketing guru. So today we're here to talk about marketing, we're here to talk about business, we're here to talk about the schooling side of it and the many opportunities that lies in it. So without wasting any more of your time and my time, let's go. Hey, yo, what up? It's your boy, Sir Josh. Please still kicking right here in the streets of JHP North Side. And today we've got a special episode, as I promised. All right, we've got a business guru over here. She runs the game of digital marketing, and she's got quite a couple of things going for her. And I really wanted to highlight somebody like her out there for the show for you guys to see, just to inspire another youth. So without wasting any more time, Miss Kopano, please introduce yourself to us.
Thank you. Hi, viewers. I hope you guys are well. My name is Kopano, and I am an entrepreneur. I think just to sort of simply put it that way. I have two main entities that I work under, but I do a few things outside of that. So I think I'll just sort of group myself as an entrepreneur. And within the digital marketing space, as well as the virtual assistant space. And I'm happy to be here, and I hope that you guys get to learn a thing or two from me today.
No, 100%, man. So the reason why I wanted to have Kopano on the show is to just highlight the road that it took her to get here. So, by the way, Kopano and I go way back from school. So, I've known her since our varsity days, and it's been I won't even lie, it's been amazing to see go from this girl who was always free spirited, always kind. By the way, that smile has been there for
a long time.
Yeah, even if I ever see her angry, I might get scared. I've never seen that version. But I just wanted to highlight that. I know you from school, but how the road that it took you for you to get here now, because online you are this digital marketing, I say, and I'm actually here to steal some pointers for my own business as well, by the way, but I just wanted you to, sort of give us like a rundown of what it took to get you there. What did you study at school, and how that was and contributed to the position you're in now.
Super. Thank you so much, Josh. And me and Josh go way back. Varsity days. Very free spirited. I've always been this person, friendly, open, always full of jokes. So some people actually got really surprised that I just became this entrepreneur, very serious person. I know. So how I started. So I studied a BCom in marketing management in varsity, and it was a great experience. But I think if I would want to take it a bit back, actually, as far as 7th grade. So I always knew that I wanted to start something in grade 7, really? But I just didn't know what it would be at the time. So
like a business.
Yeah, I knew that I wanted something on my own. And of course, at the time, I didn't know it was a business, but I was like, no, man, I want to do something. I don't know what it is. But at the time, I just knew as early as that then. And fast forward to grade 10, I now understand, the 8 business functions. I understand marketing. So I'm like, I actually like marketing. I think I like dealing with people, experiencing different personalities, having conversations, like right now, this is great. So that's when I realized, what, I think marketing is my space.
Right.
So I decided, what, I'm going to study marketing. Fast forward, I matriculate. I then meet you at Boston and I do my BCom in marketing management. Now,
let's just highlight that. Where did you study?
Boston.
Boston Media.
Yes, Boston Media House. What? Any Boston alumni? What's up? Anyway, so yeah, that's where I studied. And so during my second year, I started asking myself, how do I stand out? Because marketing is overly saturated. Like everyone and their grandma does marketing. It's crazy. So I was just like, damn, how am I going to stand out? Because I can't just get there and say I have a BCom too. I mean, everyone else has a BCom too. So how am I going to stand out? So then I had an opportunity to be a part of a internship in my second year for 2 years. And during that internship, we didn't do much. Yeah. So I was a bit frustrated, man. Creatively, I just felt like I was not being used appropriately at that time.
Is this during school or right after?
No. During our graduation. So that was mid second year. Right. Going into our third year as we're about to graduate. And man, I just feel like we weren't being used strategically enough. We weren't being trained appropriately enough. Yeah. And we had a lot of good time, technically, right? So I was very curious. So I asked my HR manager at the time, at the internship, like, yo, man, listen, how do I stand out? Like, and at the time, of course, my mission then was to interview, get a job at a fancy corporate company where there's a nice marketing department, it's fancy, or alternatively, a really cool, agency where I get to know agency experience. So that was the plan then. I then asked him, like, how do I stand out? Like, everyone has a BCom. From an HR perspective, because you're in human resources, what makes you choose a candidate? Yeah. And he was like, if I was in that position to choose someone like to do marketing and stuff, I'd say, what other skills do you have on top of your BCom? Because everyone has a BCom, right? Yeah. So what other skills do you actually have to stand out so that even though everyone has a BCom, you will stand out because you have a BCom and a skill on top of that. So that already looks appealing for HR or recruiters, right? So then I was like, light bulb moment. So I was like, okay. So I decided to just take the advice. I actually ran with the advice. Like, honestly, guys, I wouldn't lie. I just ran with that guy's advice. So I was like, okay, let me be proactive and actually research what's happening. And that was back in 2016. And
so you think you did some good research?
I did a deep dive, and I was like, okay, what space, what skills can I, take? What's happening? I'm young. I know how to use a computer. So what are we doing right now? So then I stumbled upon digital marketing, and I'm like, this is an interesting concept. And
what year is this?
2016. Back in 2016. So I started researching, and back then it was booming in the US, right? Social media marketing, digital marketing, it was booming like crazy. And we were still a bit behind, right? So I was like, okay, let me hop on this train so that at least, I'm being, by the time it actually comes, I've sort of run my race, Right. So I then decided, okay, I want to learn more about digital marketing. So I went on a whole whirlwind of self-mastery. So I'm actually mainly self-taught in digital marketing. But I think a lot of digital marketers are, because at the time, there wasn't traditional courses like your red and yellows, your School of Digital Marketing now.
Was Google ones available?
Yeah, it's still available actually. So that was a part of my self-mastery process. So YouTube, the University of Life, brand. YouTube, so I was like searching there, digital marketing. I was, and like literally rabbit hole of different YouTube videos, articles, PDFs, you name it. I was just there searching and understanding what digital marketing is. There's different types. And through the different types, I got to realize, I actually like this one more, things like that. So I did that. And then through that process, I realized that digital marketing is such a practical industry.
Yeah.
So you can't get there with just the CV and say, I know how to do digital marketing.
Mm.
They're going to want a portfolio.
You need something.
Did you
something on your
understand?
belt.
What accounts have you managed?
Yeah.
What campaigns have you done?
Yeah.
If you are in digital marketing, what other skills do you have? Graphic design skills, video editing skills, like what are you doing, right? So then almost immediately I realized, okay, I need to build a portfolio here because, a CV way is not necessarily going to help.
Yeah.
So then I thought, okay, building a portfolio means I need to work for people. They don't know who I am. They don't believe that I have, the capability. So what I did was I started freelancing. At that time, I didn't know it was freelancing. But essentially, I was like, let me just try and see if I can work with different brands, even if it's startup brands, and just offer my services for free.
Okay, so
Let me do your social media.
you would literally, so when you talk about doing freelancing, like talking about going to a company or a brand or whatever it is, and you say, I'm going to do your social media.
Yeah.
I'm going to handle
Yeah.
the photography, the advertising, all of that.
Yeah.
Is that what you mean?
Literally, that's what I mean.
Okay.
Yes. And I did that for free. I did that. So I did the freelancing for just under a year or 10 months. And through that, I got to work with a lot of brands, interacting with different brands, different people, because for me, a brand or a company is not necessarily a brand or a company. It's a person and connected to their story, right? And understanding why they create what they create. And that's what I love about it, right? So that's how I viewed it.
That's
how I saw it.
That's a very unique take on it. So you're not just approaching it on a business level. You basically connect with the person and the brand, and and I think it kind of like fires the passion to
100%.
even
Exactly.
for that brand.
100%.
No, that's a very unique approach, man. I haven't heard that one before.
Okay, no, I'm glad you have it. But literally, that was my stance because I thought if I go the transactional route of just here to, get a quick buck and I exchange the service, it's not lasting. You know what I mean? So the chances of them coming back to me, slim to none, because I'm just approaching them like every other person.
Yeah.
But if I really approach them as a person behind that business,
Yeah.
then it's different because I relate to them in a different way, right? So repeat service is inevitable eventually. You know what I mean?
Yes.
So that was the thinking then, but they weren't paying me at the time. But guys, don't ever think you're doing things for free. No. You're doing it to build your portfolio. You're doing that to build relationships. So if you decide to go on my journey, where you decide the path less traveled, less traveled really, which is creating your own thing, you need to make sure that building relationships are very important. So sometimes you're not going to get something immediately, but that doesn't mean that it won't result in that later. Maybe not, may not happen now, but it will happen later, right? So then, I 10 months, and I said to myself, this year, technically, I will just commit to learning how to do stuff, because at the same time, you need to be humble and realistic to say, okay, but also I'm not good at this. I'm learning how to do this. So to all those businesses that gave me a chance, thank you. Y'all helped me build my portfolio, And if the work wasn't as great, sorry, but that was then, so things are a lot better now. But it's that opportunity for someone to just see you and say, okay, I'm going to give you a chance. It's really big.
So what I'm picking up here is experience was needed, because
it was.
I'm glad you mentioned how saturated marketing is, and as somebody who's always on the outside looking in, I know so many people who are studying it, but I never really knew the ins and outs. But what I knew is that everybody's doing digital well, not just marketing in general, and to hear your approach to it highlights one thing that is always needed at a job, which is that experience. And you just highlighted that in this field you can build that experience actually going out there doing the work, and you had a focus. You decided, I'm gonna go to digital. You equip yourself and go out there, did the work, which is something I also stand by. I hope my team is listening.
Team
is listening. You have to do the work. Do a good job, because now you're building one, and it's a portfolio that's already been built, and that is experience. So I mean, you may not have come out of fully employed by a company, but you already had the experience. You know how it was to work with people. So that's a really good point to highlight when they say experience.
Yes.
So for the guys who are watching out there, when they say experience, they don't need you to already come work for a company. You heard there's a different approach to saying I've already come experienced to be with. You can give yourself that time. I'm gonna study my craft. I'm gonna go to the place where the service is needed. Offer it. I mean, people go for internships for free. They don't get paid anything just for the experience
100%.
And if you are around these type of fields, you can actually do that for yourself. But before we get into the business, side of it, I want to talk more school, right? So for a child who's out there thinking about marketing, and they want to get into that, how was it? How was the course? And if there's anything you would have maybe done differently, that would have maybe sped up the process, or maybe just maybe given you better results. How would you have done school when it comes to marketing?
I think from a varsity standpoint, I think I liked the course we had. It was quite vast, right? So, of course, we had majors where you had to major for certain subjects. And at the time, I majored in brand management, but a part of the other major was industrial psychology. So that whipped our ass a bit because it was quite tough, because the psychology side of things is so key when it comes to marketing, because it's psyche, it's how people think and how consumers behave. It really ties into
this is
marketing.
about market?
Yes,
Okay.
it is. Because if you think about it, selling, the art of selling and marketing, it's actually psychological. We play on, I don't want to say play, that's not the best word, but please forgive me for lack of a better word, but we basically really look at the emotions attached to a certain product. We look at status, we look at association. That's the main three reasons why people buy stuff. You want to feel great. Oh, I bought Gucci because, damn, it's Gucci. Like, come on, do I have to explain?
This whole statement about that's behind Gucci, when you wear it.
Exactly. So usually people don't even look at price. I know price is always spoken in the marketing, topic, and the 4 P's or 8 P's of marketing. Price is one of them. But the more you start to really do good marketing, price starts to really just sort of fade away over time, because they are actually looking at association and emotion. If the greatest marketing is simple, but it also touches on emotion as well as association. That's literally why we buy stuff. We want to be associated. So, like, for instance, even like going back to the Gucci example, obviously it's a luxury brand. And if I buy a luxury brand, almost immediately I'm associated to being a better person, better class, that type of thing, right? Which is then good for our ego and appearance and perception as when we go out there in the world. So that's why we buy products. Even something as simple as a product for the kitchen. There's Carol Boys.
Yes.
Right? Everyone wants a Carol Boys.
I'm trying to figure out how it got so big. I woke up one day and Carol Boy was popular. There was a store in the mall. Everybody was talking about it, I had one. I go on Twitter. I'm like, oh, okay, this plate costs like 2 million rand. The plate with the scribbles on it?
Yes, that's the one. That's the one, because they've aced their marketing, and also they've aced who they're speaking to. They didn't fold. We're speaking to high income earners. We're speaking to the higher NSM. If you're not that, then you're not. If you are, great, come buy from us.
100%.
And they played on association as well, right? But going back to the major, right? So my major was brand management at the time and industrial psychology. But holistically, as a degree, it was great because it also helped me not just with the art of marketing, but it also touched on other important aspects that you need just in general, like company law and financial management. And for me, if I look back at my journey, I decided to go to the route of entrepreneurship. So company law and financial management becomes so key. But even if you're not in business, just in general, for your own finances and having that freedom to take over your finances, you need to know that type of knowledge. So I really like the fact that they added that. So it was like very nice and holistic. Like, yes, there was marketing, but there were other pockets of subjects that sort of got us to realize, okay, we need this in life, type of thing.
100%.
So I would say it was great in terms of that. But the advice I would give people that want to start a marketing degree today, in all honesty, I would say try to strategically look at the institutions you go to. So there's, of course, like the big three right now: AAA, IMM, Red and Yellow, I think. Yeah. Those are like the top three. So I would say, in order to get that right recognition, look at the best institutions, right? But also, because marketing is such an easy skill to learn. Even if, let's say, for instance, you don't have enough finances to go to these institutions, because it's also private education, private colleges, so it's expensive. Realistically, I mean, we're speaking to South Africans here. Not everyone has that financial means to go to such institutions, but then you could still, empower yourself on YouTube. Guys, you can learn anything today.
That's the one part I actually enjoy about what you were saying. We're on YouTube 24/7. And the thing is, you could be using that time to actually equip yourself. And it's also about just how serious you are about yourself and the path you want to take. See, because you can see you literally dedicated a significant amount of time to teach yourself the skill via YouTube. Use all this platform to your benefit. And here we are thinking today. But we're gonna talk about your business. But before that, we just gonna move a little quick break. Let's do makeup and touch base. We don't have any, but it's nice to say. But after this break.
Ready to take your event to the next level? At SJP Creative Studios, we bring the energy, the vibe, and the music that moves you. From house beats to classic grooves, our DJ turns moments into memories. Don't just party, create an experience. Book your Vibe Master today with SJP Creative Studios.
Move. And we're back again, and we're still kicking it right here with Mrs. Kopano, and this is PMP Squared, People and Purpose and Passion. And today we've got a very passionate one, Mrs. Kopano here, business guru, entrepreneur. She's got many titles, okay? But she told us, folks, just, to keep it brief. Just when I say entrepreneur, but between you and me, it's a long list, But I just wanted to find out what happened after school, right? Where did you go? Was there a company that you worked for that stood out for you, or did you actually go the 9-to-5 route before adventuring into your business? Like, what happened after that?
Awesome. So this one is probably going to shock a lot of people, but I'd love to talk about it. So I want to even see the comments and engagement on this point. So after I realized that, listen, I'm going to research, and I did the whole freelancing, I then decided I'm going to stop my own agency because I loved the autonomy of like the freelancing. It's like, I'm just going to stop.
How old are you at this point when you're getting this brilliant idea?
21. I was 21 years old, and I didn't know what I was doing, guys. So don't ever think you'll know what you're doing when you start. It's not like that. So I didn't know what I was doing, but I was passionate, wide-eyed, and I was ready to just sort of take in everything. And I started KPRM. Right, Graham?
There we go.
So I started KPRM, and when I started KPRM, I was still at that internship that I mentioned, the 2-year internship. So, like I said, they didn't utilize us much in that internship. So what I did was I utilized that time to build my LinkedIn while building KPRM simultaneously. So just building the base.
Right.
People to know me digitally. Created a business page, started creating content on it, started talking about marketing as Kopano, associated to KPI at the time. And I utilized that platform a lot. And I think that's the first time I was on LinkedIn in 2016. I didn't know how to use the platform then as well, but we'll get to LinkedIn in a bit. And then through that, I then finished my internship. And then fast forward to the end of that internship, I then get an opportunity to work for a startup agency in Sunning Hill. And I was there for about 8 months. But it was such a key or integral part of my experience to elevate my agency. Because remember, I didn't know, I didn't have any reference of how to run an agency.
100%.
Right? So I was like, okay, I'm just going to run the agency, but I didn't know what I was doing. But then I had the opportunity to work for a startup agency. And I felt like in that moment, that was God saying, yeah, you are quite sure, man. And he sort of got me to a place where it was like a stepping stone or crumbs to say, hey, listen, you don't know how to run an agency, so I'm going to sort of give you some context. So you're going to work for the startup agency. And it was specifically a startup agency. It wasn't big. But I got to understand from like being small and building up, what does that realistically look like, right? So I was there for 8 months. I was a sponge.
Yeah.
I did not play. I was there earning.
Yeah.
I made sure that I took everything in, understanding the business model, how he was dealing with clients, how to do proposals, how he was managing us as a team, etc. I took all of that in, and how they do stuff. And I was like, oh, okay, so
Can I just highlight one thing about what you're saying? Because everybody goes into a workplace, with the mentality, I'm just gonna grab a salary here, I'm just gonna grab my pay and be out, do what I need to do.
Yeah.
Which I find is very common, in our community, in our country. It's very hard to get to a place where you're dealing with somebody and they have more knowledge outside of this position that they have. But when you go there with a mindset of, what, I want more, and for you, you already started an agency, not knowing that there's already CEO status, that's already business starter. So you're not just gonna go to a place and work, but now you're gonna be looking at everything.
Yeah.
Because now you potentially stand to be a person who's gonna be one day be employing people. So you're gonna need to know the process of how do they deal with finances?
Yeah.
Okay, how do they deal with disputes? Okay, how do they run this part of the business? And I feel like how you did it, honestly, it's kind of like the law of attraction. When you're already on a journey, before you know it, the right piece is already falling in front of you. Then I just want to add up to where you were going. Look, as you mentioned, you did your internship. Right after that, you decided you're not going to start an agency. You're going to start dropping content and all of that. And before you know it, you get to a startup company. That's doing exactly
the same thing.
The same thing that you're doing. Now, for me, I'm not even hearing a job now. You're like a spy. They don't even know. They don't even know that. Okay, I'm here to work, but I'm here to suck up every single thing here. And it's just adding on to the journey that that you're taking. And that's so powerful. Man. Don't just be an employee. Try to be more. But anyway,
yeah, absolutely. So definitely my mission at the time was to completely just be a sponge and learn everything. So I was there for around 8 months, and honestly, I was meant to be there longer, but I think the way things work out, when my 8 months came up, it was because I actually got retrenched, and that's because of COVID. It came and it hit his business completely out, and more than half of his clients left. So he was like, guys, I won't be able to pay you. So unfortunately, I'm going to have to retrench you guys. So now here I am, and I'm just thinking, geez, okay, fine. I still have KPRM because the whole time I was building KPRM. But now I'm just like, God, what are you trying to tell me? Are you trying to push me fully into my purpose? Do I look for another job? What am I doing? But now it looks so weary because it's COVID. People are unsure. Now it's like retrenchments, downsizing left, right, and center. Everybody, you guys, know how COVID was. It was brutal. So in that moment, I prayed and I'm like, you know what, God, it's fine. Let me just focus on KPRM and see what I get. Guys, I kid you not, within that month, I get a message on LinkedIn. Hey, I see this is what you're doing. I need your services. And that was my first actual client, like a genuine client that was paying me decent.
And they approached you.
And they approached me on LinkedIn.
Okay, I want to talk about LinkedIn. So if you follow Kopano online, and which I've been following for quite a while now, she's always pushed LinkedIn, right? At some point, I was under the impression that LinkedIn is this platform for businesses, and I didn't see this value in it, right? But for the longest of time, Kopano will speak, good on it, on how it's such a great space to, advertise your business and use all all the tools that it comes with. And I never really quite got it. But here's somebody who actually gets it. She's been preaching LinkedIn. Hey, get your business on LinkedIn. This is how it works. So now that I have you here, actually, what's that about? Why is LinkedIn such a big part of your business?
So I think the reason why I push LinkedIn so much, guys, is because it's worked for me. Literally, it has worked for me. Me being who I am today and getting my businesses where they are today was literally mainly through LinkedIn. Of course, other sources like referrals and people like repeat business, etc. But mainly for client acquisition and getting new clients and people recognizing what Kopano does and the associated entities that I belong to. It was mainly on LinkedIn. But like I said previously, my journey with LinkedIn started in 2016 when I decided, I'm going to just create a profile and a page. And at that time, I understood LinkedIn as this place where you get jobs. Literally. Strictly, I'm like, okay, you can get a job here. Cool. But then I thought to myself, if I can get a job here, what do people in business do with this platform?
Yeah.
Do they get service? Like, do they advertise their services and then people come to them?
Yeah.
And I was like, well, let's find out. So then I decided, okay, I'm going to start posting on my profile as Kopano, just sharing digital marketing knowledge, content.
Is this via video?
Yes, primarily via video. So I used to be so aggressive with my LinkedIn. Now I'm still there, but I'm not as aggressive, to be quite honest.
It has worked.
But it has
worked. Okay, so we chill it now. It's smooth right now.
It definitely has worked. So I pushed quite a lot with video content, just teaching people about digital marketing, the different types of digital marketing, how it can help you, your business, etc. But also just promoting KPRM as a brand and my page and as a company to say, hey, if you need these services, come to me, type of thing. So I started utilizing it in that way. And then the more I did it, the more I learned the platform. And I'm like, oh, so you can actually get business from here. Because, imagine, guys, you have exposure to CEOs, CFOs, founders, recruitment managers, HR managers of your dream companies. Standard Bank,
Everybody's
Bank, SABC, hey, John, everyone is there.
Wow.
Right? So I realized the more I was on the platform that, okay, I started studying the nuances of the platform, and then I realized, okay, now I know how to use this platform. And then, of course, because I'm in business, I sent a lot of cold messaging early back in the day before I knew what I was doing. But through that process of just experimenting, I got to really learn how to also approach people on LinkedIn, because I know people usually are very intimidated with LinkedIn, and I get it, because you get there and you're just like, what am I going to say here? Like, oh my gosh, the CEO of MTN,
and the titles, I love to say,
CEO of MTN is looking at my profile. Like, what do I say? So I get it, but I think I always tell people, when it comes to LinkedIn, you need to know why you're on the platform. LinkedIn is not like any other social media platform. Like, get that out of your head. It's just that, of course, for category purposes, they're gonna categorize it in a part of the social media platforms. But I think it's a social networking platform.
Social networking,
not media, but social networking.
Purely for business.
Purely for business. Purely for connecting with other partnerships, networks, and even friendships. If you're looking to sort of get friendships within your industry or mentors and things like that, that would be a really good space to sort of look at. But you can basically, for me, I feel like it's categorized in two ways. Are you on LinkedIn to get a job, or are you on LinkedIn? Actually, three. Are you on LinkedIn to get a job, to promote your business? Are you there to connect with other like-minded individuals? You're always under the three categories. And once you know what you're going to do on the platform, it becomes less overwhelming, because your focus is very directed. If I need a job, then I know how I'm going to utilize LinkedIn. I'm going to utilize LinkedIn to present myself as the best candidate for X job. I have to complete my profile. I have to create content towards that particular job that I'm looking for, so that people can see me as that great candidate.
Okay. So the question for you, for let's say a person who's starting up a business, right? They have everything ready as a business, but they have no knowledge when it comes to how to market themselves online. And I think a lot of businesses also don't have that set up. Most people will just set up a Instagram, Facebook page, put a couple of pictures on it. But now, how would one who's who's got a business, great service and everything, regardless of what the business is.
Yeah.
How would you say they should approach LinkedIn in terms of putting themselves out there in hopes of getting clients and or business? Like, how would you approach that?
So I'd say it would be a three-pronged approach. First of all, you need to make sure that your personal profile is optimized fully. What that means is that did you fill in the profile? Don't have no profile picture, no header, no nothing.
So bio, all of it needs to be as
everything needs
detailed
to
as
be
possible.
as detailed as possible, right? That's step one. Step two, you then need to incorporate a content strategy. You can't just have a fully optimized profile and then you are ghost, not active.
What do you mean by optimized profile? What does that mean?
Optimized basically means fully complete.
Okay.
You're not leaving out any blanks.
Oh, about your business.
Yes, you filled every single aspect
Okay.
in your profile. So everything that LinkedIn says, fill it in, and fill it in properly. Try to do your best in filling that in, and like literally concisely explaining what your business does and who you're doing it for. Right? That's when you optimize your profile.
Right.
Then the next step would then be associating a content calendar for your personal profile, because there's personal profile, that is also the business page that you decide to create, right?
Right.
Once you've done that, then you need to then say, okay, within my personal profile, what content am I going to start pushing outside of just sharing my business page and the content that falls under my business page, whether that's my services, what we do, past clients, that type of content that you would create for your business page. But on your personal page, it's slightly different. You should think of yourself as a brand in some sort of way, a brand custodian for this company that you're, associated
with your own personal.
Yeah, with your own personal flavor, personality, to say, hey, this is Josh.
Yeah.
But Josh also has, P squared, and this is what we do.
Yeah.
But this is also Josh as a person, because that will then create that perception of credibility and thought leadership. Then it becomes easier to sell the business. Think about it. Because if they trust Josh, they'll trust P squared.
Yeah. No, but that sounds amazing, man. And how has that worked out for you? How would you say, what were the main benefits from utilizing the platform effectively? Like what has that brought for you?
It's given me a lot of opportunities and platforms to tell my story. Like for instance with you.
Yes.
And that's because you recognized my journey from the outside looking in, right? To say, wow, okay, you're moving. And outside of that, so it built my brand perception pretty well. For people that don't know who Kopano is, they got to see that, oh wow, she's capable, clearly she's suitable for whatever that we're looking for. And from a business perspective, I got to get a lot of clients organically through LinkedIn. I mean, throughout the years, I'd say a good 70 to 80% of my leads came from LinkedIn for services. And I would also say it has helped me to connect with partnerships, people that come in and actually partner with me and sort of feed into the vision of all these things that I'm doing.
Wow. Sounds amazing, man. So KPRM is pushing, man.
We're pushing. We have to.
No, but that's amazing, man.
Thank you.
But
thank you.
on a business perspective, though, how has that journey been being, a woman of business?
Yeah.
You being a woman. For those who don't know, Kopano is also a mother.
Yes,
So she's got a beautiful little bundle of joy there. All the kids are cute now, but they're all gorgeous. Hey, this generation is gonna suffer. Hey? Like they're so pretty. But you being a woman in this space, how has that gone? Because I also know that you do have a passion when it comes to women advancement, and you have a voice, you have a platform for that. But in your line of business, how has that been? Has it been a little bit different? Would you say it's been to take a different approach to male counterparts who are in the exact same business as you? And how has that been actually?
Absolutely. So I think overall, my journey with business has been fairly good, hey, I wouldn't lie, because of the business model. I mean, if you decide to create a digital marketing agency or even an online business, to take it a step further, it's not like you need to start up capital immediately. Like you have your laptop and Wi-Fi, dude. Okay. And then you have your skill set as well. So building that pipeline or building that business model is quite easy easy to do, right? The only hard part, of course, is to build that trust for people to trust you with the services that you're offering and getting the clients. That's probably the most difficult part. But outside of that, I would say maybe the hurdles would be ageism. Being as young as I am and getting corporate companies or just businesses in general to trust me was quite a big one, right?
Wow.
But I've been very good with people. I'm very good with people, actually. So that has helped me quite a lot in terms of creating relationships, relating to people. And I've also always had a gift to relate to different types of people. Different ages, like young, old, like I've noticed that growing up. So sort of speaking to clients that are in their early 30s, late 30s, 40s, I've found a way to find a middle ground to work with them. But I've always just shown up, right? So professionally made sure.
Just to add on that also, I would say having a body of work, because now you're not just coming to these people
Absolutely.
as Kopano. You better have all of that. But if I have tangible,
results.
Results, there's a track record, I'm saying I do this, and you can look and be like, oh, okay, she's done 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. It gives it a bit more, base. So despite judgments, that could still have somebody who's not necessarily fully convinced. They'll look at them like, but she's done all this. Okay, let's keep her. So before you know it, great relationship.
There you go.
I'll add that in your
Exactly. Yeah. So I think just ageism, being too young. Female, yes, there's also that. But I'd say in general, the industry is very Caucasian. Marketing and advertising, media, it's very
it's still a
very white owned, white dominated. So I think I'd love for more young people that want to do marketing, I'd definitely implore you to please create more agencies, Black owned agencies are needed in our industry. We need African representation just from a brand lens and just storytelling through marketing. So
actually that brings me to my next question. Would you say that it's still a field that can still be explored? Would you encourage a Black child or whatever color that they are out there, who's thinking of marketing, because I know some people choose out of passion, some people choose it because it's the only course that they can, go study at school. But would you say this is a good, path to take, and will it have great results at the end of it?
I think it is. So of course the reality is, like I'm saying, saturation is still a thing. There's a lot of digital marketing agencies out there, but not everyone is going to be like you. So you need to find your source. What makes you different? Fine, everyone else is doing the same thing as you, but what's your story? And that's where the difference is. You need to make sure that your why is well articulated and you understand who your audience is. You know who your people are, your tribe. And once you've discovered that, it then becomes easier to stand out. Because, guys, there's no original idea. How many tech companies are there? But somehow people chose Microsoft. Why? It had a story. People chose Apple. Why? It had a story. So what's your story? Don't just create a business just to make money. Oh, it's not going to work out for you. It needs to have an actual why. And then I think once that is there, articulated well, you're trying. The people that will find why you created the business will follow. It just will take some time. It's not an easy road. But it's worth it once you find the sweet spot.
No, listen, there isn't anything that is worthwhile that is just acquired easily. The hurdles, the things, the thorns that you have to step on the way it's there on purpose. It makes the end result a bit. You take it more serious. It's a bit more. How do I put it in better terms? Like it feels more rewarding, if you know that you've worked for this, So don't be afraid of that. But I love this episode, man. I've learned so much.
I've
learned so much, and before we close it off, because I do want you to give us a couple of words, for the child out there who's trying to follow a similar path to you, But this is what I've actually picked up from our conversation is that having a clear vision of what you want, serves you, really well in the long run. I mean, you don't need to have the full painted picture, but a goal is definitely, key. consistency. Because now you mentioned that you started studying, you started doing this thing on your own since 2016.
Yes.
You know, you had that consistency. Once you discovered the LinkedIn platform, you kept on pushing it aside. I've seen your content for years now, you know,
Yeah.
and here we are. So consistency, which is one of that stands out for me every single time, you know. So not letting go. School as well, you know.
Absolutely.
Still a platform, you know. Before we even started shooting, I was telling you how I feel like in the country there are people who are starting to feel like school isn't one of the routes towards success. And you know, I just want to highlight that is absolutely lies.
Yeah.
Like school really does give you a foundation. So do not let up. If you're one of those people who has the chance to be at school, you know, who has the financial backing to go for it, please, you know, do go for it. You know, you even heard it from a marketing, you know, person. There is still space in the marketing industry, you know. So, you know, in a nutshell, I've learned so much, especially for my own business as well. I'm still gonna pick your brain after here, but not to make the episode, no, I think it's too long. I just wanted you to give us a few, you know, closing words for, you know, a young child who's out there watching. You know, they're in high school, they're in varsity, they're looking at taking on this career path. What would you advise them on?
Oh, absolutely. So first of all, thank you so much again for the platform, Josh. I'm also very passionate about young people as well.
Yeah.
So for me, it's not even really about numbers and attraction or whatever. It's just really the message. Like I really am a walking inspiration and motivation to see that
100%.
even if you go another path that most people don't travel, there is a space for you.
Yeah.
That's the first thing. Second thing is be courageous, man. Even if you feel like you have an idea, but you're afraid that you're not at a certain place, just go for it because you have to build the plane while you're flying it, genuinely.
Yeah.
But if you decide that you want to go the job route, that's also great. But just make sure that you be the best person within that company.
Yes.
So that you create those opportunities for yourself.
Yeah.
But more than anything, please, guys, don't lose hope.
Yeah.
I know that the reality of South Africa right now for young people is not the best one. It's quite bleak, but there are pockets of hope and ways you can see and, gaps of opportunity.
100%.
You know, I actually heard such an amazing quote from one of these associates of mine. He said, Africa is filled with problems, which is a blessing because with every problem, there is a solution. So your solution is somewhere there. It's birthed in you. So just take the courage to create something. And even if you don't want to create something of your own, then attach yourself to companies that are resonating with that purpose for you. And just become a part of that vision and become a part of the Africa that we want to build for ourselves, right? And then another thing, when it comes to school, don't just get any degree, guys. I would say get a degree that is future proof. Look at where the future is going and see how you can slot yourself in there. But there's some services that will always be essential, like marketing. No matter what happens, marketing is needed. But if you can look at other strategic ways of schooling that you can utilize, do that. But yeah, it's possible. Basically.
100%. And there's always help out there, you know.
Yes.
Sometimes you might feel like, you know what, my brain is limited. I'm not coming out with the right ideas. But this is why we have social media, we have all these platforms, you know. You don't have to do it all on your own. You can actually outsource this help out, you know, and the help, you know, where you find like, you know, I'm limited in terms of creativity or ideas or whatever. Go online, man. Go online, you know, like look at, Kopano and I here, you know, what she's saying, honestly, is also going to help me quite a lot with my own personal business, you know, because I have been looking at how am I going to do this whole link thing. But like you just said, you know, you've given me a few points that I can actually go by, you know, and, you know, I'm still going to pick your brain after here. But, you know, that's the type of thing that I'm saying, that I'm into, you know. I also do a lot of digital marketing, but this is a different perspective from it, you know. I'm doing it purely out of my own knowledge, you know. I never really went to school for it or whatever. So here we have somebody who's done it on both sides, you know. I get to gain something more to push my agenda further when it comes to, you know, marketing and my business. So with you out there, you know, do the same and be positive, because from what you're saying, I felt I got that, like, you need to keep a positive mindset.
You have to.
You know,
That shift is important. Without it, it's gonna be very difficult.
Nah, don't let nobody think it, because I don't even like to, from the outside looking in, when you started your company, I was like, wait, do we mean, like, is this like a real company? And I'm looking at how young she was, and I'm like, what? And
It's giving hobby,
like,
but we'll see.
you know, no, but that's how amazing your story is. Like, please, guys, go look her up. It's amazing the road that she's taken. You know, for you to start a company at such a young age and to keep pushing at it. To the rest of us who do not fully get it, it looked unreal. You know, and you literally did it, and it just shows that, you know what, you start something, you stay at it, it will bring results. It is the law of the universe.
Yes.
There's no way
Yes.
nothing's gonna come out of it.
Exactly. Yeah.
And here you are today, man. Fully, you know, businesswoman, entrepreneur, so many other titles, but you know, we'll do that on another day. All right. She does a lot, but today I just wanted to highlight, you know, her journey on, you know, that she took to get here.
Yes. Thank you so much.
It was awesome to have you on the show.
Thank you.
I'm so glad that you give us some free time. She's still at work, guys. Okay, this is why. You know, she's a busy person, but she gave us this few minutes, you know, to speak to the people. So for you out there who's watching, you know, I hope you've learned something today. But for me, Kopano here,
Signing out.
PMP Squared, People and Purpose. Catch you on the next episode.
Bye, guys.
Moving.